There haven't been many moments in my life where I haven't wanted to make art, but those first few months in Japan was definitely one of them.
I definitely remember the first time we met. So I was sitting on a bench outside and you came up to me and declared that I looked like I spoke English. So that you wanted to talk to me. So I think we were friends pretty much off the bat there.
Sarah and I were teachers at competing English language schools where they had unrealistically high expectations for signing up new students. All that administrative pressure filtered onto us teachers.
There was the teaching targets, so retaining students, renewing students, and they had all these like sales campaigns where you were supposed to help sell additional materials.
We were also living in these tiny apartments with just enough room for a futon, a hot plate, and probably the smallest bathroom I've ever seen.
I always called it the inside of a Winnebago, is what it looked like.
At first, something as simple as calling home was not as easy as you might think. I remember going into this 7-Eleven and trying to buy a phone card from the cashier who only spoke Japanese and I only spoke English. And after finally buying the card and going to the payphone and trying to read the Japanese type to the operator who also only spoke Japanese, and by the time I was able to connect, only having 5 or 10 minutes before the call would drop like this and I would have to do it all over again. And so I found myself in tears, more lost than I'd ever been, wondering to myself, what am I doing here? I am so fucking alone. So I quit. I quit my job as an English teacher in Nagoya, packed my bags and scoured the internet for something better. Eventually I found a new job in a city called Fusa, an hour outside of Tokyo, and an apartment to live in with a few American guys. And that's what I did. This is Scott. He was one of my roommates. His friends would come over and we'd all hang out. It's because I'm from London, we don't say our THs. TH sound is...
Whoa, H is H?
H.
Whoa, H.
Because there still wasn't really anything to do in Fusa, Scott and I would just kind of end up driving around, listening to deep techno, talking about whatever was around us.
So yellow and then red, and then like they'll go through cycles, a couple cycles, before any of the traffic can even move. It sucks.
Wow. That's one cow's tongue. It's fucking huge. Wow. Because there wasn't anyone around me that actually knew me, I didn't have to perform being myself. I could actually just be myself. And I started to realize I like women. What about being a foreigner in Japan, do you think allowed me to explore maybe liking women? Like, do you think, because, I didn't do that in England, but I did it in Japan.
Oh, you didn't do that in England?
No.
Never?
No, never.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was totally a new thing.
I think we basically had exactly the same taste in girls. And I remember in Super Deluxe, and we looked around and decided on 4 or 5 girls that we both thought were really attractive. And during that night, I think all of them came up to you at some point to speak to you, and they didn't even look at me. Yeah, I remember thinking, Shan's got something I don't.
At that same time, I started to create art again, and I had these accordion fold-out books that allowed me to create drawings that went on and on and on.
Yeah, I used to love those. It seemed like you were almost relaxing and contemplating when you were doing it, or kind of freeing, meditating if you like. That's where I think everything of yours came from, was from those books.
The work was so different from the angry, questioning work I did back in London, and I started to see that shift in my characters too. They were less pained and trapped, and more kind of creepy and cute.
Bear,
Living in Japan, there's bears everywhere, so the bear found me, and they almost, in a way, invaded my drawing, but in a nice, cute way. And they travel around, usually in a pocket, because they don't walk that fast, and they like to be cuddled and held and be close to someone's heart. Do you remember when I started VJing?
Yeah. It was interesting to see the change from going from the paper to you playing around with the tablet, the Wacom.
As soon as the projector light flicked on and the crowd was watching, my imagination would take over.
Her drawing was quite frantic and it was beat matching in a way.
At the end of that first gig, I looked up, and there was this world of lines I never imagined could exist. And this world was so vast and beautiful, and so undeniably me.
And the fact that you're a foreigner automatically gives you a sense of appeal in a local community because you're from another place, you carry this kind of shaman enigma style presence.
It felt like, my eyes were opening for the first time. At this point, the eyes changed. I would draw this very meditative shape around the eye, like a flower, which kind of gave it this sense and this feeling of balance and harmony. For years I did this, just drawing and drawing and drawing, letting the line unfold. As time went on, it became more confident, more bold. Shibuya Crossing. Well, that was for last year Design Week, and it was a design type. They commissioned me to do a 15-second movie. I've done fashion design, t-shirt design, promotion videos for J-pop labels. I've tried to do a little bit of everything, and it works that way. In many ways, I had the dream life I'd always wanted. I was a full-on working artist. But one day, 4.5 years in, I woke up and I was just done. I was done with Japan.
She felt like she'd done it in Japan and she needed a new test, really.
And that's when I decided to give up everything again and plan my escape.